Hello, man.
Jesus,
Oh,
my
man.
IT is so shit. I was literally on this for about 10 minutes thinking, what the fuck am I doing to connect to your video?
No, man, that's good. This is why I send the text. It's just because it's
Like the blind leading the blind, mate. How you doing?
How are you, man? You're right.
I'm good. About a special occasion, so we might as well have a little drink, me, you, and the rest of the Nova Forca comrades. So this is James Baker, and I present to you James Cook. If you got a glass there, pour yourself one. I'm going to be Richard III line up.
Gonna put my ears up.
It's Nova
That's
Forca.
it.
They're out of the bottle anyway. Shit, that's strong. What's happening anyway?
That was the best entrance so far.
There's two things why this is great. One, I'm talking to you, and secondly, my flatmate Justin Kent, in case anyone else doesn't know, has fucked off. So he's given my ears a bit of a rest, which is good. I know my jiu-jitsu is probably about a white belt level, but my hearing's currently black belt level after living with him. Yeah. What's new anyway?
You know, I was telling everyone.
Good, mate, by the way.
I was telling everyone I was so scared about that chin-up bar that you have, that you guys are doing there. When you post the video, I'm always thinking it will be like a moment that the bar will snap and then someone gonna fall on the floor.
There must be about 10 screws on either side of that bar. And even then, every time I hold on to it, I can see like a tongue poke out the side of the bar. Go, get the fuck off me, you bad bastard.
Oh man, I see that you and Justin like, I think the door frame will be all, the flat will come down in some moment. And how are you doing?
I mean, I can only do about 5 chin-ups, but he does about 50. But then I realise he's only half my body weight because he doesn't have any legs.
He's a half man.
So if he turned himself upside down, he'd be a strong-looking man. Go back to front like that cartoon character, Johnny Bravo. Justin Bravo, we'll call him.
Johnny Bravo, yeah, that's him. Oh man. And how are you doing anyway? Are you working with him and living with him? Are you okay?
I'm dragged out of the flat to go and do some work with him. Whenever he has to go and change a boiler, he just sits there doing fuck all, and I have to lift the boiler off and change it over for him. Then he takes home all the money, and I just go home covered in shit. And that's all right. If I'm honest, it's been a real good laugh having him living here. For all the abuse that everyone gives him, it's been a good laugh.
Oh man, I imagine.
It's good because I don't have to talk because I just listen to him all the time. How's things with you anyway?
Oh, with me it's the same. Like it's all frozen. Like no swimming, nothing going at the moment. But just staying at home and waiting.
Yeah,
it's like as you know, the fitness industry is just like as the hospitality and all the.
Do some swimming lessons down on the sea with the
That's no, that's the idea.
Well, if you do that, stay away from the killer whales because those bastards will start playing tennis with you.
Yeah, no, but that's all right. It seems that it's getting there. I think it's not long in Chewy. Maybe a couple of months.
At the moment, I'm trying my best just to focus on looking at you because I looked at the bottom of my eyes and I see all the abuse coming in my direction. I'll read all these comments later on.
That's
I can't
it.
multitask. If I try and read them all while talking to you, it'll just go on forever.
That's it, man.
Mind you, if I have a few more of these, then everything might become a bit clearer down the bottom.
then they can abuse as much as they want. You weren't gonna be able to read.
Well, my old man always used to say to me, if someone takes the piss out of you, it's a sign of affection, and they like you really.
Definitely, man. The amount of times that people said your name during these lives is just unbelievable because every time I ask, especially if someone that's been with Nova Forca for longer, they say, "Oh yeah, James was there. Yeah, James was there." When I say, "Who was
Probably
there when you just
all
started?"
hour
Yeah,
afterwards.
Baker was there.
Probably complain because I ate their lunch or something instead. Yeah, well.
Oh man. And
Have you
how
been
is
doing
how
managed to do like any jiu-jitsu drills while you've been at home? Anything like that?
man, I started to try to teach my kids how to do it, but it lasts for maybe 1 week, and then they, they just gave up, and then I just okay, let's move on. So just
You've got a trampoline, did I see in your back garden?
that's it. That's the trampoline. I've been doing it quite a lot,
Yeah.
doing like some back flips and front flips, and I'm gonna be an acrobat by the end of the lockdown.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having a go on the trampoline, but I feel sorry for it having my fat ass jump up and down.
Uh,
Yeah.
but it's a good fun. It's a good blast. Yeah. And
Nah,
how are you? Are you being trained? Think you are one of the ones that been training quite a lot over the lockdown, isn't it?
I need to just to make up for all the food I keep eating, to be honest. If I'm honest, I've not been eating as much the last few weeks. I've probably been eating like 12 times a day instead of 20, so that's a slight decrease. No, it's been all right since we put in that chin up bar, which has got about 4 million screws in it. So I've just been practicing on doing those, and then Justin's got his work benches, so trying to do a few dips. But it's always hard work when you weigh a lot.
Yeah, with body weight.
That's
Because
my
if
excuse. The real
that's
reason is because I'm weak and I just need to keep
no,
practicing.
your
My
body, your
DNA is
load is
not an excuse.
harder.
I'm weak.
You have more load than anyone to lift. It's just like
Too much load, to be honest.
we have a question. I don't know if you saw. We have a question that we always ask if you have a
Yeah,
fight in a pub. So
yeah.
you can call 3 people from Nova Forca to help you. And one of the ones that excluded that they cannot ask is you. They cannot call you. Because then otherwise everybody gonna pick you like a proper bouncer coming in.
If you want my help, then obviously you've run out of everyone else, to be honest. I know I'd pick first for that anyway.
Oh,
I'd choose Jess. Because obviously,
yeah.
what you do is just run in between their legs. You can tie their shoelaces up and they'll fall over. Then rip their arms off afterwards.
And who would be the other two you would take?
Oh, yeah. Who am I not allowed?
Uh, Rick,
Yeah.
and then Justin, because and then the other one is you, but you is you. You already will be on the fight.
God, who else am I going to take? Joe, I'm going to be loyal to the lunchtime classes because that's who I go to a lot. So I know Paul Standerwick takes quite a lot of the lunchtime classes, so I'm going to have him
Oh
because
yeah.
not being funny, he's actually a T-Rex. So he's got the T-Rex arms, but he's a fucking animal like a T-Rex as well. So Standerwick definitely, and then my third person. So I've got Jess, I've got Standers, and I'll choose Jose as well because he teaches the lunchtime classes quite a bit.
That's it.
Those
Yeah.
South Africans, proper fiery fuckers when they get wound up. I'll be quite happy with that backup, if I'm honest.
That's
They
that
do
you.
the hard work, and I'll just stand at the back with my rum and chill out.
You just point the victims out. Take that one, this one, the other one.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be good. Be honest, though, it's a bit tough just limiting yourself to three. I could choose so many people. Pretty much anyone apart from myself because I'm lazy. I'll be at the buffet in the other room instead.
Man, tell us what's your story with martial arts? When did you start doing martial arts, Vic?
Jesus. So what? My first ever session at Nova Forca was in the original place at the Sleeping Storm in 2004. So,
Wow.
and I've not made any progress since. I went there. My only knowledge of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu prior to my first class was from those early UFC days when obviously you had Hoist Gracie and he was beating everyone else, that people 2-3 times his size. So obviously I thought to myself, well, this stuff obviously works, so let's give it a go. I went down with two friends. The one who kept going on for weeks on end about how he should go and try this out, he never went back again. He got, obviously, your first lesson, you get destroyed. That's the one that
That's it.
makes or breaks you. And he got broken. He stayed broken ever since. The other fella, Ash is his name, he came down for a few months and then he went off travelling, and he's been travelling ever since, to be honest. So he's always busy. And then I did it for a little while. Then I went off to America to do the fake fighting, pro wrestling. I shouldn't really say fake, predetermined. Yeah, done a bit of that, came back, and then, if I'm honest, my jiu-jitsu's not been the most regular, which is probably why I'm not that good at it. But yeah, last year or so, since I've been working down the gym, it's been a lot more consistent, I'd say. And it's just nice, obviously, aside from the training and learning some stuff, it's nice being around everyone down the club too.
That's it, man. It's so good.
Yeah.
So good to have you as well, because you really very good like teaching. Like you're like you look like a beast, a giant. But then
I don't
when,
like things because I'm shaved for about a month.
no, but then when you come to teach, you're very good. Like you really, and even when you're sparring, like you really, we between us, we always say that you work in slow motion. You just go like this guy. You enjoy every moment. You put your hand on the collar like this, and then.
I think even when I go at full pace, I'm still going in slow motion. Like that animal's like a sloth, and it lives in the Amazon rainforest, isn't it?
That's it.
Boa constrictor. That's it.
But that's the thing. But then we know that something could happen, because if you go too fast with your weight, it will be like 30 seconds and then like 2 seconds and then we're done.
I
But
think if
then
I go too fast with my weight, then I'll be the one going to hospital. I
no,
think
but then
reason
you really use the technique. That's good thing. I really
well,
appreciate that.
there's not much technique, if I'm honest. A lot of the time, if I'm lucky to get someone inside, man, I can just lay on top of them and think what I'm going to do next. But I think the thing is, like with jiu-jitsu and any art really, is that you just sort of adapt it to what works for you. I know a lot of the techniques I'm not particularly good at, so I need to try and work on my own mobility, flexibility, and try and get a way around it, which I can do for myself, to be honest. But I like what's brilliant as well down at Nova is there's so many different styles as well. It's brilliant. Always learn with someone, whether it's someone in their first session or all the way up to Ricardo. You always learn from someone, and I think that's the saying, isn't it? You either win or you learn. I do a lot of learning down there, that's for certain.
Richard just said that his first lesson, Ricardo put you to teach him the basics. And he never seen anyone as big as you. He was like, oh my goodness.
I mean, there must have been not many people in the class that day. He asked me to teach the basics. Oh dear.
And tell us more about the wrestling that you were doing in America. Tell us how was it, and
I was always into it. Like probably quite a few people around my age on this chat right now used to watch. It was WWF back then on the television. And then I got into lifting weights when I was about sort of 16, 17. And then when I filled out, I wanted to put it towards something again. So somebody recommended I try out pro wrestling because I was quite tall and big. So I thought, yeah, why not? So I literally just, by the time I got around to doing it, I was 21. Just soon after my first few sessions at jiu-jitsu with Rick. And I went over to Atlanta, Georgia, just done a bit of wrestling over there. So you could go over as a tourist for 3 months at a time, come back and then go back, so on and so forth. Done that for a couple of years and yeah, really good fun. Just a nightmare trying to get a long-term visa sorted out in America. So
yeah,
that's where I had to have a little rethink and sort of change my pathway a bit. But I mean, on the plus side, it was only a few years after that, there used to be a weightlifting gym near where I live, and I just coincidentally bumped into Rick down there. And this is when he'd moved on to train at the old Scout Hut, probably about, this must be about 11, 12 years ago now. So I saw Rick down the gym, and he said, oh, why don't you come back to the club? So I thought, well, yeah, why not? So that was my little introduction back into jiu-jitsu again. So I went down that very night, got absolutely annihilated by everyone. It was a little wake up as to how tough it actually was. And then, yeah, I mean, since then, last few years, I'll be open and honest. I've been a bit inconsistent at times, like missing in action a few weeks or even months at a time. But I'll always come back because I'm loyal.
That's it, yeah. And do you remember who was there that gave you a hard time when you went back to the gym?
Or who didn't give me a hard time, to be honest. I think this is back when. So Tim Radcliffe would have been a brown belt at this time, and then Dan Ballinger, he was a purple because he'd been away in Canada, if I remember right, and he came back and then got his brown. Tim got his black belt not too long after that Scout Hut. He was the first one under Rick, I remember. But I just remember everyone else, everyone was just an absolute beast back in those days at the Scout Hut. I mean, obviously everyone's a beast nowadays as well, but we used to turn up there at 8:30 at night, and we'd be done at like 11 o'clock at night by the time we'd cooled down and put the mats away and everything. And Jesus, but I was a little bit younger then, so I could recover a bit better. Like nowadays, the old joints seize up a bit, and it takes longer to get myself going in the morning.
Well, that's it, yeah, it's true, isn't it? But what about injury? Have you ever had any injury, Beck?
Well, touch wood, nothing too serious, just the regular sort of wear and tear you get from training, but that's going to happen in sports, and especially in combat sports. So you either deal with it or do something else.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt too much.
That's
as I say, it's always enjoyable down there. I think the same with anything. The hardest part is the motivation to just get yourself down and train. Once you're there, then you're learning, you're training, you love it, and then afterwards you always feel good anyway.
That's it, definitely, isn't it? It's the
Unless
main.
someone's really beating you up and you just want
Yes.
to go home and curl up into a ball.
And cry.
Just cry. Why am I doing this?
That's it. You just sit at the table, and then when I finished having my dinner, and then just thinking like, oh my goodness, what's happened today? It was like it's like being run by like a storm, especially when you go in the evening, or like there's a lot of people, so there's a lot of sparring, and then you go home, and then you just try to think about all the sparrings you had, and then how it went. It's like a big, it's a big thing.
He's very lucky down at Nova, just because the standard's so high. You've got so many people, even from like white belt. I mean, there's loads of white belts who are technically a lot better than me, and it's just great rolling with everyone. And as I say, you always learn something from whoever you go against, and yeah, always strive to become better, I guess.
And competition, James.
Yeah.
Have you ever done any competition, like jiu-jitsu competition?
I did 2 competitions as a white belt, and I won gold in both of them. But I think that's probably because I was just heavier than the other people. They just gave up because they couldn't breathe. But no, I just did. I remember one of them. It was Grab and Pull, I think they're called. I don't know if they're still about.
Yeah, in Brighton, wasn't it?
They did their London Open at Westcroft Leisure Centre. So Westcroft Leisure Centre is literally a 3-minute walk from where I live. My first opponent was from Middlesbrough, which is in the most northern part of England. I remember I was having a chat with him just before we had our fight, and he said to me, shook hands with me, oh, how you doing, mate? I'm a little bit tired. I had to wake up at 4 o'clock this morning to come down. And I thought, I woke up at 9:45, mate. Good luck. But no, that was good fun. Good bit of experience. I should really I should really motivate myself to do another competition. It's been a few years.
Yeah. And the
When
wrestling
we're
that,
back out to roll around with each other again, I guess.
yes. And the wrestling you were doing in America, was it like competition as well?
It
Uh,
was the pro wrestling, like the entertainment stuff on television. So I used to do a weekly show or two just around Georgia State, but yeah, it's completely different from fighting someone for real.
but
At least like you,
does it give you any different vision like about the training or fighting or not? Because it's a choreographic stuff, but then you have something might probably work or not.
it's I mean, obviously there's certain elements involved with like movements and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, you can't really compare the two. You got one which is predetermined, so you sort of know what's coming when you tell a story, and the other one, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, you've only got to look at when you spar with people on a regular basis down at the club. You never know what's going to happen with everyone.
Oh, my screen just changed, man.
Do
It just
you have?
changed. The question here, look.
Well, it's cat of the mask. Most
Yeah.
say that's ginger, but if you look at the 50 Shades of Ginger colour chart, the colour is actually toasted golden auburn. And on that note, I think it's time for a top up.
Go for it,
So
James. And
James
James,
could do another round in.
yeah, I'm gonna take mine too here. Look.
Here we are. Here's to Nova. I'm going to read these comments and see how many people call me a four-letter word. Most of it begin with the letter C.
No, no. Man, and do you follow like any competition, like professional competition, MMA or jiu-jitsu or the wrestling or anything? Do you still follow it?
I'll tune in like here and there with stuff. For me, obviously with the UFC, I'll just have a little look, see what upcoming fights there's going to be. But no, I wouldn't say anything religiously so much. Just I'll have a look online, whether it's on the Instagram or the other social media platforms, and see what's happening, what's coming up, just to try and maintain a little bit of knowledge.
And do you have
Um,
any favorite fighter that you follow?
any favourite fighters? I'm just gonna stay in everyone's good books and say everyone that fights at Nova Forca is my
Uh,
favourite. I only say that because I don't want to get beaten up too badly when we get back training.
that's it. Oh,
Broken
man.
to me. By the time I've thrown one punch, I've got about 10 coming back in return.
And do you do any boxing class as well? Or you just do the jiu-jitsu at Nova Forca,
Uh,
James?
my boxing is even worse than my jiu-jitsu. You can imagine how much work that requires. Although, if I'm honest, I've been doing a little bit of pad work recently with Justin, and yeah, he's given me an awful lot of coaching points, which
Yeah.
shows how terrible I am. If it's good just to get a little bit of extra fitness going as well, and just mix it up, just challenge your body in different ways. So just try and focus on the pluses, really.
It must be like scary to see you both training like pad work.
Okay, as I was saying, it's great living with him because if you're talking specifically about the fight training, I mean, you've got a man who's, I don't know how old he is, what, about 73, 74 is he now, Justin? He's got many years of experience. So always used to say that there's no substitute for experience. So might as well pick his brains and learn something. And
And
he knows
what did you
what
learn so far there? Tell us something that it surprised you of this life with
He's been
Justin.
telling me to keep my guard up a lot more so I don't get my brain rattled when he throws a punch in my direction. Been the main thing, but it's good. As I say, I mean, obviously it's a bit of a bummer that we can't train down at the club, but just making the most of all we can at the moment. So we've got the pull-up bar, got the dip stands, doing some bit of pad work, and then the local park for a few hill sprints as well.
Yeah,
Well, I
so
say it's pretty much slow motion, but I'll try my best to get up there quick anyway.
yeah, I don't know if the guys are watching you, they saw, but I saw some of the sprints that you guys do up of that hill there. That's how many sprints? How many sprints do you do? Like when you
It's about
that's
8 to 10, I think, and probably about 8 to 10 minutes rest in between each one. Well, at least I'm doing something, I guess. Better than nothing.
yeah, no, but
That's
looks good,
perfect.
looks steady, man. That's very good.
It's good. I mean, it gets the lungs going. So my view is that it must be doing something anyway.
Yes, and your work as a personal trainer, James. When
Yeah,
did you start? What's your when?
probably about, I reckon, 13, 14 years ago now. So yeah, no, it's been good. I've sort of been through working all these different locations, from commercial gyms, private health clubs to independent places. But it's great that Rick allowed me to uh, obviously do my stuff down at Nova, because my last job I was at, that closed down at the end of last August.
Yes,
They'd just come along to Nova, which is good because it means that obviously I spend more time there, and sort of motivates me to do more jiu-jitsu as well.
that's it. But I saw you working like with some like condition with Jose for his fight, and then you
Yeah,
did
yeah,
some work with Jarvis as well. Can you tell us, can tell the guys a bit how the work that you do and how it is?
So I always say with the strength and conditioning that it should only basically fill in a little gap in your training. So obviously Jose and Jarvis, or any other fighter, they're training for a fight. So their main emphasis should be on the fight in itself. So just focusing on their skill set with their jiu-jitsu, striking and wrestling. And then the strength and conditioning is just there just to fill in any sort of fitness components that they're lacking on. Like Jose, he had a bit of trouble with his knee. So all of the strength and conditioning was just geared around rehabilitating his knee, making that stronger, and doing specific stuff, which was going to focus for his grappling fight that he had at the last Fusion. Then with
Yeah,
Jarvis, we just did a lot of conditioning stuff with him, explosive power, and then just getting the cardio up. But I mean, everyone's different. Everyone's got strengths and weaknesses, so you can, more often than not, they'll have an idea of what they want to focus on. So you just do specific movements to focus on those goals. And then at the same time, there might be occasions where they've had a tough session sparring, whether it's jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai MMA, and then they feel their body feels a little bit battered. So then, from a sensible point of view, you might need to readjust what you do with the strength and conditioning. So yeah,
yeah.
the idea is to make them stronger as opposed to make them weaker.
That's it. That's a risk, isn't it? It's a thin
I
line
guess
because
that's
if
why
you
it's called strength and conditioning.
yeah, because if you push them too much, it
Yeah,
can go to the other way.
yeah, but no, it's great fun. I mean, I've had the opportunity of working with people that have been absolute beginners in the gym, working with kids. Before anyone says anything, my DBS form is in date. Then working with schools, elite athletes. I've worked with people that have competed in the Olympics before, disabled people. I mean, it doesn't really matter to me if people want to train, and I'll help them out. So it should be really.
Yes, that's it, man. You do a great job. We just
Well,
had a question here from Sam. He's asking
yeah,
if you like to do berimbolo and warm guard. What's your favorite?
I can't even spell berimbolo. So there's my answer.
Well,
I probably
from
move about the same pace as a worm though, so maybe that meet in the middle a bit.
and what's your favorite submission, Baker?
The one where I'm on top and they say, "Get off, Baker, you fat bastard." I think my sort of go-to, which is such a typical fat man move, is getting an Americana from a side mount. I think that's quite a simple and effective one for me, just because I can make use of my body weight and pin the opponent down.
That's it, yeah.
I don't think you'll find me ever attempting to do any flying omoplatas too soon. Anyway, I'll do that in myself if I do that.
And who do you think is the toughest guy at Nova Forca, excluding Rick, like, of course, but
Well, I think it's got to be Ramon, isn't it? Really, the lad's an absolute machine. He's like, it reminds me of the T-1000 from Terminator 2. Just absolutely relentless, just doesn't stop until his victim is finished. But like, look at every component of fitness, he's pretty much better than everyone else at the club. You know, whether it's strength, endurance, power, flexibility, he's pretty much got most people's number in all of those areas.
that's it. Yeah, that's true.
He's got age on his side as well.
Yeah, just the beginning, isn't it? He's just starting. Just
If
gonna
I
get
ever
better.
if I ever spar with Ramon, I'll just say to him at the start, remember, I was always your friend when you was 5 years old. And, but there's loads of tough people down there, though, to be honest. I mean, I've got to give a shout out to my flatmate, Justin, as well. He's a hard bastard. And I like sparring with Justin as well, because his style is just ruthless.
Yeah,
So grinds you down and just forces you to do something, respond, react. Otherwise, you end up just eating the mat. It's loads of tough people down there, though. So it's, again, like I was saying earlier, it's all about winning and learning. I do an awful lot of learning with people down at Nova, which is good, because obviously training with people that are better than you is going to make you better.
that's
Well, that's
it. Yeah.
anyway. I'm still waiting.
And James, we always when I do the lunchtime class, I never see you like really going like to smash anyone. You always go like, you're very kind of conscious about the you're conscious about the risk, like that you can cause of people. But do you ever go like 100%? Do you ever spar like a?
I think if I went 100%, I'd be out of breath in 10 seconds. That's the problem. But when I spar with people, I try not to use like any strength at all, to be honest, because I'm not learning anything. So at least if I can make an effort to, you know, for example, whatever the techniques have been on that particular class, just try and look for a way of incorporating that into a spar with someone, or just just getting into positions and thinking about using my hips and leverage, as opposed to just being a blooming meathead and using brute force, because that's, you know, anyone can do that, but it will work on people who don't know jiu-jitsu. But if you try doing it against people that know jiu-jitsu, then you're gonna obviously find yourself in a lot of problems, unfortunately.
Yeah,
That's,
no,
I mean, that's my mindset anyway. I'll try not to use much brute force, just actually try and apply the little jiu-jitsu knowledge I have in order to try and make myself a bit better.
that's it. Yeah, that's what I see. This is why, because usually I ask people like at the end, oh, who you would smash, and then who you would fight like as a flow. But I never see you like going smashing anyone. I always see you like really cautious about it.
I think if I'm honest, I should focus a little bit more on changing my tempo, because everything tends to be one pace a lot of the time. I should focus on like those little bursts of explosiveness, and then once again to position and focus on the next thing from there, as opposed to just going at snail pace all the time.
But yeah, I think it works quite well, because then it's a less risk for yourself and for the others. Like you really like an injury way, because You just if you're
Ireland,
winning, you don't. There's no need to rush.
yeah, that's it. I guess so. I mean, even there'll be quite often if whoever I'm sparring against, like some of the senior belts, I'll just ask how I got on at the end of the round. More often than not, they'll smash me for 5 minutes or so, and then I'll just say to them, "Oh, what could I do from this position here, or was I defending all right?" Because it's always good to have a little bit of feedback, even if they tell you that you done shit. At least you know you've done shit, and then it gives you something to think about for the next time.
And who would be the one that's do you think is the similar level as you there at the club now?
Or similar level.
Like that really like it's kind of a present a bit of threat, but it's also you can control. But if you go easy, you can lose. So like someone that's like
I suppose
parallel.
I'm probably a similar sort of level to Big Chris. I would have thought South African Chris.
Yes.
He's another big, strong lad. So again, another one who's got more technique than me, along with everyone else. But yeah, I suppose fairly similar to a degree. I think the problem is because I'm so much bigger than most people down here. It's quite difficult to compare myself to anyone else down there.
That's it. Yeah. But this is something I mentioned, like because for example, you if I spar with you, you're definitely gonna win because you have more strength and more knowledge than me. But you clearly go like you don't come and then otherwise I would go to the hospital straight away. But then, for example, with Big Chris, he's just you can see on his eyes he's coming from the ward, you know. So I'm always a bit like, oh, let me put my shield here.
I suppose I'm polite and respectful to a degree, just in case, as what you said earlier about who would you have as your backup in a bar fight. Just you might be one of those people I need from.
Well fought.
If I've been a bastard to you before, you probably just go.
That's well fought, man.
Yeah, it's obviously good to go a bit hard when you train, but not take the piss, especially if you're against people that are fairly new. Then there's no point in taking advantage of people because you want them to come back. And it's good just to let them know that it's a tough sport, but at the same time you're not an arsehole.
That's it, man.
Doesn't cost anything to be nice to people.
Yeah, no, you
You
clearly
get a
send
little
this message.
bastard when you're sparring with people, but not too much, if that makes sense.
No, but you clearly send this message. I really appreciate, and I find it quite nice because you really, although you can be scary if you want, but you really make it.
Maybe scary if you steal my food from me. But even you don't have to worry about it because you're faster than me, so you can just run off. Win-win situation.
Vic, we will need to go now, man. I usually do half an hour, but today
Yeah,
we just
great.
went talking. It was such a smooth talk that was easy.
Great fun, mate. I've enjoyed it. I'm gonna have fun reading through these comments now.
That's it. And can you just give a shout to the guys of Nova Force and tell them something like some wise words from the big man?
Here's to Nova Forca once again. Yeah, missing everyone down at the club. Hope everyone's looking after themselves, and I look forward to catching up with everyone soon, so you can all beat me up.
Man, thank you so much, man. Thank you,
No,
thank
it's
you
been
for your
great. Thanks
time.
for having me on, Dre, and thanks to everyone who's joining with the chat today as well.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. I know it's a bit busy there with Justin and everything, but
Yeah,
try
well, try and
if
get him
you
on there one day as well.
yeah, if you convince him, try to get him in front of the camera too. We can then he can have some comments as well towards his past.
He's not very good with technology though, so instead of him having a phone, he'll probably have a yogurt pot to his ear, and then you'll have the other one to your ear attached to the screen.
No, but I'm sure you can help him. Help him out there one day. Let's see if you can organize it.
I can
So he
try. The
can.
only problem is if I start talking, then he'll start talking over me. I'll try my best anyway.
That would be cool. That would be cool, man. Thank you so much, man. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, Andre. Great to talk to you, mate. And
Have a lovely evening.
Nova Forca.
Us.
Us.
Thank you, guys.
That wasn't too bad, was it?